Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Many Tongues of Cork gathering, broadcasting live from the Winter Warmer Festival, located online, which means we have access to wonderful poets, writers, and incredible people from all over the globe. And big shout out to Ray Greene. Ray, say hi. Sign hi, rather. Who is going to be doing our ISL. And if you guys can see the Ray's iPhone, that's just an aid for Ray to make sure she can hear clearly. And do what she's got to do. And I'm Joanna Dukkupati. I live here in Cork, in Douglas, and I'm the founding editor of Good Day Cork. And it's an extreme privilege to curate the Many Tongues of Cork gathering, a gathering of prose and poetry in different languages. And today we've got 5 languages, and I've said it before, I will say it again. My favorite language from today's gathering is the Bombay English, which many of my friends here in Cork have heard me slip into when I get supremely angry or excited. Just saying. I'd like to borrow words from John O'Donoghue's Anam Cara, the book Anam Cara, to explain the inspiration of creating this gathering since we began in, I think at this stage 2 years ago. John says, one of the tasks of true friendship is to listen compassionately and creatively to the hidden silences. Often secrets are not revealed in words. They lie concealed in the silence between the words or in the depth of what is unsayable between two people. So if that has to be translated here for those some people like, I don't know, my brother, who's like, what did you say? Repeat that again. I just want to invite everyone and set an intention that we should all listen compassionately to people, especially when they're speaking in a different language, I suppose, because that will help us understand the other person better and dig deeper into these new friendships that we find ourselves in. So that's what this is. And the format is very simple. Each poet, writer, who you can see these wonderful faces already in front of you, they're going to say their piece in their language, and then they're going to recite or narrate the English translation of it for you. So we're going to go straight into it. And our very first performer is Celine Train. I don't even know if I'm saying your name right. Maybe I've anglicized your name, Celine. But
you said it very well.
Oh, thank you.
Very well.
Is it so? Just Celine. Celine is a writer, a photographer, and a filmmaker. And we asked all our performers today to explain what it means to have a sense of belonging and what is home. And she says that Celine has said that my home is where most of my ideas are born and my art is created. For the time being, my home is here in Cork, but it could be anywhere really, as long as it is a sanctuary of creation. Oh, that's beautiful. And I think so many of us can relate to that. So Celine, go straight in. You are reciting a duck's feather in Swedish. So go for it.
Thank you for the lovely introduction. So I'm going to just start. Livet har verkligen sina högsta och lägsta nivåer. Det är på tok för enkelt att fastna i botten. För ibland verkar livet bara så dystert. Som om solen kommer aldrig stiga upp igen. Som om min hud aldrig mer kommer känna värmen av dagsljuset. Världens vikt väger tyngre och tyngre på våra axlar. Varför väntar vi på att det ska bli lättare? Det var trycket av denna belastning, påfrestat av vikten vi har burit på allt för länge, som förde mig till en insett av acceptans. Vi kämpar och sliter för att bli kvitt vårat bagage. Men jag har kommit till att erkänna att detta är en omöjlig dröm. För bagaget och bördorna som vi bär på tjänar också deras syfte. De är inte utformade för att tynga ned oss, för i verkligheten är de viktlösa. Det är våra sinnen som föreskriver vikten på vårt bagage. Således, i mitt godkännande av denna oändliga oundviklighet har jag lärt mig att bestämma över vikten av mina bördor, men också mina prestationer, mina misslyckanden och alla mina erfarenheter. Jag har för länge ansett mig själv som ett offer för mina omständigheter. Jag valde att skylla på världen för allt som gjordes mot mig. Men jag måste ta lite heder, för det var, trots allt, jag som dikterade betydelsen av mina upplevelser och påverkan de hade på mitt liv. Medan mitt liv fylldes med oro stod jag hjälplöst och tittade på, ovetandes om att jag hade förmågan att själv skapa förändring. Genom ögon, en mörkare nyans av blå, ser jag nu att saker bara händer, oavsett om de är slumpmässiga eller förutfattade. De är utom vår kontroll, men det gör oss inte hjälplösa. Vi är filtret som bestämmer vikten av våran värld. Det är vår egen uppfattning av verkligheten som sätter begränsningarna för det riket vi väljer att leva inom. Jag har känt mig instängd alldeles för länge. Så nu har jag valt att sluta slåss och istället börja älska. Mina tyngsta börda väger mindre än en ankas fjäder, och en enskild snöflinga verkar mer hotfull än även min djupaste rädsla. Det är denna verkligheten jag väljer att existera inom, och jag kan ärligt säga att det är en tydlig uppgradering. Livet är bara som du uppfattar det till att vara, så dröm stort och gör detta liv till ditt egna personliga sagoland. Varje val vi gör inom dessa fysiska ramar binder vår själ till den verkligheten vi skapar. And I'm going to have a sip of water and then I'll be reading it in English for you. So, a duck's feather, English translation. Life really has its highest and lowest levels. It's far too easy to get stuck at the bottom because sometimes life just seems so bleak, as if the sun will never rise again, as if my skin will never again feel the warmth of daylight. The weight of the world weighs heavier and heavier on our shoulders. Why are we waiting for it to get lighter? It was the pressure of this burden, stressed by the weight we have carried for far too long, that brought me to an insight, realized, of acceptance. We struggle and struggle to get rid of our baggage, but I have come to recognize that this is an impossible dream, for the baggage and burdens we carry also serve their purpose. They are not designed to weigh us down, because in reality, they are weightless. It is our senses that depict the weight of our baggage. Thus, in my acceptance of this infinite inevitability, I have learned to decide the weight of my burdens, but also my achievements, my failures, and all of my experiences. For too long, I have considered myself a victim of circumstance. I chose to blame the world for everything that was done to me. But I have to take some credit, because it was, after all, I that dictated the significance of my experiences and the impact they had on my life. While my life filled with worry, I stood by helplessly and watched, unaware that I had the ability to establish change. Through eyes, a dimmer shade of blue, I now see that things just happen. Whether they are random or preconceived, it is beyond our control. But this does not make us helpless. We are the filter that determines the weight of our world. It is our own perception of reality that sets the limits for the kingdom we choose to live in. I felt trapped for far too long, so now I have chosen to stop fighting and instead start loving. My heaviest burden weighs less than a duck's feather, and a single snowflake seems more threatening than even my deepest fear. It is this reality I choose to exist within, and I can honestly say that it is a definite upgrade. Life is just as you perceive it to be, so dream big and make this life your own personal fairy tale. Every choice we make within these physical frameworks binds our soul to the reality we create.
Oh my God, oh my God. I have so many questions.
Go ahead.
I think, because when I initially contacted everybody, and then I also sent an email later on after everybody said yes, that it would be nice to explore food and identity, because this is like a lunchtime gathering, right? This is a lunchtime gathering for us here in Ireland, and in India, where Sananda is logging in from, it's evening nashta time, which is like a snack time. It's 6:30 almost now, a little after 6:30. So I wonder if that stimulus took you into your identity aspect of it, or were you like, screw that, I'm not writing about that, I'm just going to write what I want to write? I don't know. I'm just curious to know if that helped you at all.
No, it really did, actually. It was when I thought identity, I'm like, I also feel like it's something I wanted to say, but I don't think I would have written this poem if you had already outlined that identity or food is what you wanted, because it is quite a strong statement, I think, that I'm writing. So definitely I would have chosen something different.
Yeah. Because, and also the last part that you wrote in the English translation about making our own fairy tales, I think this message is eternal. It's timeless, whether there's a pandemic or not. So thank you. And I would like to know, what are you looking forward to in the 2021? What is your fairy tale going to be like, Celine?
Well, I have so many stories and images in my mind, don't we all? We're all creative in a way. I just want to see more of them come to life. I feel like I want to take more initiative in bringing these ideas I have many scripts that I've hidden in a little drawer from a few years ago that I'm like, maybe one day I want to find the strength and the courage to be like, you know what, that day is now, and to actually start sharing my work more.
Yeah, and you're in good company, because Sananda is a theatre maker, and though she's based all the way in my beloved Bombay, she is somebody who always looks forward. I'm not speaking on behalf of her. I know this for a fact. And she'd be like, script, ooh, what? Tell me. Like, I can imagine the ideas going off in her head, because it's happening to me as well. So I'm just like, Celine, if you need help to make all these scripts come to life, when you're ready, call on me, baby. Call on any one of us. It'd be great. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. And I know you need to go, so you go when you need to go. No worries. Okay, Celine, thank you so much. Next up, we're going into the land of where Arabic is spoken, and Asmae Ourkiya is, Asmae lives here in Cork. Asmae in Hindi means sky. Is it the same in Arabic?
In Arabic, yeah.
I love it. So Asmae is actually, should we say Dr. Ourkiya?
Yes. No.
Yes. Not yet?
Not yet.
Oh no, I wanted to say
I can't wait. A few more months and I'll be a doctor. A few more months.
Yes, because you're doing a degree. And I remember reading, and I've written it here so that I don't confuse anyone, is that you're currently a final year doctoral student researching intersectional ecofeminism and studying the Irish Great Hunger through an ecofeminist lens. Yo, what is going on?
I dug deep. Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
Full on. So more power to you. You're also a queer activist, and you wear many hats. You wear them really well. So your poem is titled Ode to Home. You're reciting in Arabic. Go for it.
Thank you. أبحث عن نفسي في مرآتي فلا أجدني. لا أرى إلا شبحا تائها بين الأيام. مشتاقة لرائحة أرض تركتها خلفي. لوطن أحببته فوأد في قلبي الأحلام. سلام على بلد أناجيه من بعيد. أو تدري بشوقي إليك كم يزيد. بكماء أردتني في حضنك السعيد. لكنني طليقة وحرة أصير ما أريد. رضيت باغترابي لأكسر الأصفاد في يدي. أصفاد اسكتي واحتشمي وطيعي. مجتمع ذكوري كم صب ويله علي. لذا فصلت وجهتي عن وجهة القطيع. عائدة يوما إليك بعد فراق مديد. وداخلي عزيمة أقوى من الحديد. يا أخت فلنثر معا من أجل وطن جديد. من أجل مجتمع تحرري ووطيد. So that was the Arabic version of it. And the English translation is Ode to Home. It's not as poetic as the Arabic way, but it is what it is. I try to find myself, but I cannot find me. I only see a ghost lost in the days. I miss a land I left behind me, a country I loved that destroyed my dreams. Greetings to a country I long for from afar. If only you knew how much I miss you. You wanted me quiet in your happy arms, but I am free to become what I want. I became content with being foreign so I can break the handcuffs of be quiet and be pure and obey. A misogynist society that turned my life to hell. This is why I left the destination of the sheep flock. One day I will be back after a long separation, and inside me a determination stronger than steel. Oh, sister, be rebellious for a new society, a society that's liberating and strong. Thank you.
Shukran. Is that the right word to say?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a growing and an increasing fascination with Arabic. I think it has to do, obviously, with the way it's written, and also the flack it gets. It's unfair. I mean, it's such a wonderful language. It sounds so beautiful. Immediately, I'm taken into these wonderful markets where it's so hot and you can smell beautiful things and just buy it. This very Disney version of what a souk would be. But hey, that's my version of it. And I heard the word watan in your Arabic piece. What does watan mean in Arabic?
Home.
Yeah, again. Yeah.
Feeling a lot of similarities because
Yes.
I have a friend that speaks Hindi and we talk a lot, and there is a lot of similarities between Arabic and Hindi.
Yes, yeah, and then Urdu as well, because it was watan jadid, wasn't it? That was the full phrase. Yeah. So how do you feel about your new home? That's what I want to know now that you've left the shackles of one and you're here. How do you feel here?
You mean Cork or Ireland or the new apartment?
The new apartment. Let's start small. The new apartment. Congratulations on a new apartment that you have moved during a pandemic. Well done.
Oh God, yeah, it was hectic. But talking about the apartment, it was a move that we had to do because we were living in a way smaller one. And during the pandemic, it became impossible because it was like a matchbox and it was in the 3rd floor and was on the main street and it was loud. Anyways, the new home looks homey, so I would say I feel more grounded here.
Yeah. And how about Cork? How do you feel about Cork?
I wish I've done it earlier. I was living in Limerick and then I moved here last year and I'm like, yeah, this feels more like me. This is where I should be. So I love it here. Yeah,
that's great. And how do I ask this without coming across as a snobbish person? But I'm going to ask it just the way. And do you feel you can be your fullest here?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the main reasons why I decided that I'm moving here, because I was coming here back and forth. And then it's just there's something that dragged me here. And anybody who hasn't felt 100% themselves anywhere in the world can be fully themselves when they come to Cork.
Well done. Thank you so much for saying that about our home. Yes. Now, thank you, Asma. Next up is the lovely Susanne, who's sitting right next to you. Susanne, should we just call you Sony for this conversation? Sure. Yeah, is that okay? Can we do that? Yeah. Congratulations on your video, your music, the release of your music. That's exciting. How do you feel?
Good. I feel great about that. It's like one of the things during like the pandemic that was like a very positive thing. Something was like created.
Yeah. So, yeah. Great. God, we could have a whole other conversation about the challenges and the joys of creating something start to finish during when there's all these restrictions on us, but we'll do that sometime, another time. You've got 2 poems for us in Norwegian language. One is Lonely and Thank You. And we'll get straight into it. But I do want people to know that Sony is an engineer at physics, which is, I find that ever since I've started curating Many Tongues of Cork, I find more and more people who are in that, whose brain function that way, engineering, mathematics, coding, they're more and more poets who are from that background. And this just goes to show that there are so many parts to the one person, and it takes a lot for the person like you to embrace all sides and to have them somehow living and do they coexist together, all these different aspects of your personality?
Yes and no. It depends on who you ask. But
and on what day I ask.
Yeah.
So
I think like you said, you can have different backgrounds and all that, but everybody has many sides. So you're not like one thing or your degree, or even if you write the poetry, like you can do something else. So people are many things.
Multidimensional, absolutely.
Multidimensional.
And in other words, people who watch, like I find myself that I know one aspect about somebody and I've immediately put them in a box, and that's terrible because I've always tried to squash the box. And why am I putting people in a box? So it's a note to self in the last few months to stop doing that. Anyway, enough of this jibber jabber, as a friend of mine I know says, and we get straight into your beautiful poetry. So Sony, take it away.
Okay, so this one is Lonely and in Norwegian Ensom, so I'll just get to it. All right. Ensom. En som sitter der alene på en benk, med skuldrene I senk. Ensom. En som holder ordene tilbake, men har så mye å si. En som smiler, selv om han ikke blid. Ensom. En som ser alle andre, men aldri blir sett. En som har det tungt, men prøver å virke lett. Ensom. En som drikker alene. Rusen hans eneste venn. Men så kommer angsten dagen etter, og han alene igjen. Ensom. En som forsvinner i mengden. En som trenger en klem. En som trenger tilhørighet for å føle seg hjem. Ensom. Yeah. Straight to English? All right. Lonely. Just a moment. Lonely. Alone on a bench with your shoulders lowered. Lonely. One that stays quiet but has a lot to say, even if he isn't happy. Lonely. One that sees everybody else but is never seen. One that has a heavy heart but tries to seem light. Lonely. One that drinks alone. The high is his only friend. But the next day, anxiety arrives. Lonely. One that disappears in the crowd but needs a hug. One that needs belonging to feel at home. Lonely. Yep. Next one. Jesus. Now the next one is thank you, a little up from that one. Takk. Okay. Just a second. Ok, takk. Til hun dama som valgte å ikke smile, selv om hun ble spurt om hun var sur, bare fordi hun ikke fylte rollen som hun ble plassert i, rollen som kvinne, rollen som en pleaser. Selv om hun fikk dritt og ble tatt for gitt, takk til deg som ikke smilte, fordi hun ikke tvilte på hvem hun var. Samme om folk kalte henne bitter, sur eller rar. Hun stilte opp for andre ved å være seg selv. Takk til deg. Til deg som valgte å stille opp for andre, fordi du ville forandre måten vi blir behandlet på, som ble upopulær i plenum, men det du ikke visste var at det var få som turte å si at du var rå. Fordi de var redde for å bli mislikt de også. Takk til deg. Til deg som sa nei til en rasist, selv om stemmen skalv og alle andre så bort. Vit at det var modig gjort. Til deg som tør å kjempe. Takk til deg. Then the English. I just have some files up, so sorry about that. Okay. Thank you to the lady that chose not to smile, just because she didn't follow, even if she was asked if she was mad, just because she didn't follow the role she was placed in, the role as a woman, the role as a pleaser, even if she got shit and was taken for granted. I want to thank you. To you who didn't smile because she didn't doubt who she was. No matter what people called her, bitter, mad, or weird, she stood up for others by being herself. I want to thank you. To you who chose to stand up for others because you wanted to change the way we are treated. The one who became unpopular in public, but what you didn't know is that there are few who are brave enough to say that you're amazing because they are also afraid to not be liked. I want to thank you. To you who said no to a racist, even though your voice started shaking and everyone looked away. Know that it was brave. I want to thank you. The one who has the guts to fight, I want to thank you. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Is it strange that I find the first poem, Lonely, that you've hit on some hardcore issues in that one, and I still find it extremely comforting. And I find it comforting because you're recognizing them and you're bravely talking about them in a beautiful way. And every word that you're speaking in your language is like, oh, what does that word mean? How do you say that word? Because it's almost like you need to have a certain weight in your voice to speak your language. Why do I feel it that way? I feel like I'm too frail a person to speak this language.
You feel what? Sorry?
I feel too frail.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
Norwegian language.
Yes, I feel
Because
like
it's hard, or
it doesn't sound hard. That's the thing. It doesn't sound brash or anything. It just sounds a language for really strong people.
yeah, it's interesting because like in Norwegian, it's like in other languages, it lacks like words to describe things in a more poetic way. So things are actually quite like direct, if it makes sense.
Oh, that's so good. If only we all could just be direct and just say it as it is. I think we would have world peace. I think. It's really good. May I ask you, how long ago did you write these two pieces?
The lonely one was maybe, I guess, some months ago.
Okay.
So it's a while. And the thank you is quite recent. I don't remember exactly when I wrote it, but it was just something that provoked me about, like, as a woman, if you're not smiling, like in so many settings, if you raise your voice, whatever you do, then then it's not right because you're supposed to behave a certain way. But recently. But
Yeah.
The lonely one is an older poem.
Yes, yeah. I really love both those pieces. And if ever you convert them into songs, that would just be an icing on the cake. Thank you so much, Soni, for your kind words and your poem. Now, guys, just forgive me because I've been practicing to say this lady's name properly. So here we go. Okay. Nqobizitha Vella. Did I get it right?
Try again.
Okay, try again. Because you were busy laughing at my expense.
Okay. I'll not laugh.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Okay. Nqobizitha Vella.
It's like you're putting a comma in between.
Yeah, because I'm okay. Nqobizitha Vella.
Oh, you tried.
Yes, thank you. You're from Zimbabwe. And
yes.
Yes, and Zimbabwe is very dear to me because I've been in Zimbabwe twice. I've lived there almost a year and a half at one stage, and then about 3 months, or not 3 months, sorry, 6 weeks at one stage. So Zim is very close to me.
Oh, that's
and
good.
there's loads of stuff around our house that's from Zim, and I understand a few of the cultural nuances of the people of Zimbabwe. So anytime I know anyone in Cork who's from Zim, I'm just like, oh my God, let's talk about stuff.
I know what you mean.
Yes. And so like many countries, Zimbabwe also has many languages, you guys. There is Shona, there's Ndebele, there's another one that I can't remember, but isn't there a third dialect in Zim? Or am I confusing that with Mozambique?
We have lots. We have Kalanga.
Yeah.
We have Tonga.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the third one.
The one that you're looking for.
Yes. And I love the name Shona because Shona it's a term of endearment for little babies, young babies, like, oh my Shona, or like between friends, oh my Shona, So when everybody was waiting for Ethan, so that was a nickname we had, and it's also a way to honor Zim because it's very much part of our lives. So that's my weird connection with your home country, and you've been living here for quite a while, and you're an activist, and you're an established author, and Ireland is very, very lucky to have you here.
Thank you.
And you speak up a lot against direct provision, which is extremely important. And your piece is titled Immune Gene. Is that right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, emunjini.
Emunjini. That's
Yes.
it. Yes. So it's a piece of prose, and it's in Ndebele. And take it away, dear. Take it away.
Oh yeah, you say that it should be about food and identity. So I had to give you something about my food as a Zimbabwean. So I think you'll relate because you stayed there. Though I've named it differently because I realized that you like Shona a lot. And you're into Shona a lot. So I'll read. Ngathi ngifika kuleli lizwe ngamangala ngokungafanani kakhulu kwezinto lalapho engisuka khona. Kwakungani ngikomunye umhlaba hachi elinye ilizwe. Ngikhuluma ngomkhathi wakhona, abantu bakhona, isiko, ngitsho lokudla imbala. Selokhu ngafikayo lapha kulombuzo engihlala ngiyubuzwa lapho lalapho engihamba khona uthi ingabe kuyini okukhumbula kakhulu ngelizwe lakini leZimbabwe? Nqobizitha intombi ekhulele esiNdebeleni ngikhule silokudla kwethu ebesikudla nsuku zonke engingathi ngokwesintu. Kanti ke besilakho futhi okwemzini laloba bekuyimvela kancinyane. Sasikuqakathekisa ke lokho okungayisikho kwethu sitshelwe kwathiwa kungcono futhi kusezingeni eliphezulu. Ngafika ke lapha eIreland ngathola kudliwa kakhulu amagwili lerayisi, amapizza, amaphayi lokunenginengi. Okuyikho lokho kudla engikhule ngitshelwa ukuthi kungcono kulokwethu futhi kumnandi. Wangijabulisa kakhulukazi, kodwa okuviki kusiya phambili ngase ngidiniwe. Ngaqala ukuvuleka amehlo. Namuhla ngizwa ngilenhloni ngokutsho lokhu ukuthi kungithethe iminyaka engama-35 ukunanzelela ukuthi kwakungesilo qiniso ababekutsho ngokudla kwethu. Ngathi, lakho konke okuphathelene lobuyithi, umbala wethu, inwele. Uthethe ukuthi ngize ngisuke kithi ngibe semzini ukukubona lokho. Wayikhona kusithi dlwe kimi ngingatshelwanga ngumuntu. Ngaqalisa ukuzigqaja ke ngakho. Ngaqala ukubona ubuhle bokuba ngumuntu omnyama, ngaziqhenya. Kuze kube yinamuhla lokhu ngicitsha zonke izinto ezazibhalwe engqondweni yami zisithi konke okwemzini yikho okulungileyo futhi kungcono. Ngoba injongo yabo kwakuyikubulala ubuyimi bami. EZimbabwe sikhule ngokudla okunenginengi, kodwa namuhla ngizalethulela umumbu. Umumbu uyahlanyelwa emasimini kukhule kuyisigodo esilamahlamvu bese kuphuma isiqu esizala intanga eziningi ungavuthwa. Uyikudla kwethu okuyinjayelo okudliwa ngumuntu wonke futhi usilethela ukudla okuchiyetshiyeneyo. Engithemba ukuthi umuntu wonke ongawaziyo uzaba lesifiso sokuthi azame okukodwa loba okubili kwakhona. Emasimini ungavuthwa uyawubhonxula upheke ngokuxhathisa emanzini kumbe uwose emalahleni uzikholisele. Bese kuba lempuphu okuyiyo eqakatheke kakhulu kithi kwele Zimbabwe. Lapho ke umumbu uyekelwa uwome ubusucholwa kumbe ugaywe kwenziwe impuphu. Kunengi ukudla esikupheka ngempuphu. Ngiza kubalisa ngaphansi. Okwesidlo sekuseni silela mbazi. Liba munyu kumbe sifake idobi, lelemoni sihlanganise letshukela. Sila maqebelengwane. Silompokoqo. Isinkwa somfahlo. Emini lantambama. Kujayelekile ukuthi kudliwe isitshwala. Isitshwala lesi yiso esiqakatheke ukudlula konke ukudla engizakubalisa lesengikubalisile okuvela emunjini. Lapha ke kuthathwa impuphu ihlanganiswe lamanzi abilayo eziko kuphehlwe kuthi kungaqhatha okwemizuzu emilutshwana bese kubondwa kuze kujiye. Isitshwala ke asihambi sodwa sidliwa lesitshebo okungaba zinyama ezehlukeneyo, imibhida echiyeneyo, lamasi. Mina ke ngithanda ukucheba ngenyama elembhida kumbe amacimbi. Isitshwala lesi yikudla okudliwa ngumuntu wonke kwelakithi, mhlawumbe ngaphandle kwalabo abalayelwe ngodokotela Kodwa yikho ukudla kwenzalo yeZimbabwe simnandi siyahlabusa. Abanye nje bavukele sona ekuseni basidle emini ntambama balale ngaso. Ngiyamangala ukuthi namuhla mina lo sengisenelisa ukuhlala amalanga ngingasidlanga ngezizathu ezithile. Lokuthi impuphu kuleli lizwe iyadula ikancane sigcina sesisidla lokho okutholakala kalula bese kusithi okwakithi kube yilapho lalapho. Silokunye ukudla okuvela emunjini engiza kuchasisa. Amagwadla, umngquthu, amachakada. Leli ligwadla eligigwe kancinyane laselixhwathiswa isikhathi eside. Lokhu ngingathi yirayisi yakithi sibili ngoba yikudla okudliwa kakhulu emicimbini kudliwa lenyama. Umxhanxa. Umxhanxa ligwadla elihlanganiswe lejodo bese kufakwa ichukela. Inkobe. Inkobe ligwadla elihlanganiswe lendlubu, amazambane lendumba. Lokhu kunathwa ngetiye. Amahewu. Amahewu isitshwala esiseleyo sabiliswa emanzini okwamalanga bese kuthelwa ichukela kancane ubusunatha. Silamaputi bese siba notshwala besintu. Ngumumbo ke lowu lobuhle bawo kimi ngilindebele. Ngisasekhaya kwakungelalanga elitshona ngingadlanga okukodwa kokudla lokhu engikubalisileyo. Sengizalitshela ukuthi umbuzo lwana engithe ngihlala ngiwubuzwa ngiwuphendula ngithini. Into engiyikhumbula kakhulu ngelizwe lakithi yikudla ngoba kumnandi futhi kuyimpilo kulomsoco. Ngiyabonga. Yeah, that's Ndebele for you. Right now, I'll read the piece in English. When I came to this country, I was amazed at how everything was different from my country, from my home country. It didn't feel like I had moved to another country, but to another planet. Talk of the weather, the people, and not forgetting the food. Ever since I came to Ireland, there's a question I'm asked often. What is it that you miss most about your country? As Nqobizitha and Ndebele girl, I grew up eating our own traditional food that we ate every day, which is our staple food. We did have foreign food that was very scarce. We held that food in high regard because we were told that it is better and it is of high class. The food I found mostly being eaten here was rice, potatoes, in all shapes and forms, pizzas, pies, and so on and so forth. The same food I grew up adoring, food I seldomly ate. To say I was ecstatic when I came to Ireland is an understatement, but surprisingly, in 2 weeks, I couldn't even gulp down mere potatoes. Lunches and dinners became a nightmare for me. That is when it dawned on me, after 35 years of my life, I'm even embarrassed to say this out. It wasn't true that our food is bad, our way of doing things. Absolutely nothing wrong with our skin color, our hair. I had to be away from home to realize and know that. And this time, no one had to tell me anything. It practically dawned on me and I started appreciating myself, my background, and felt proud about it. Today, I'm picking all those things that I was told were not good, substandard about me. I'm erasing them one by one as I'm convinced that the only purpose was to kill my identity. Now, in Zimbabwe, we have different cultures and traditions, but we have one common food for all, maize, and corn in other places, and some mealies. Maize is a crop that is planted in a cultivated land, the fields. It grows and produces a cob with many seeds when it is ripe. It is our most common food eaten by everyone and in different ways and forms that I wish by the time I finish my presentation, each and every one of you will be wishing to try one of the dishes. So when ripe from the fields, one can cook it straight away by boiling it or eat it by boiling it and eat, or roast on coals and enjoy. Then we have the most important of all, maize meal flour. In this case, maize kernels are grinded into fine flour, and there are different common dishes that we make with this maize flour, which is commonly called maize meal. Breakfast dishes. We have porridge with some nuts. We sometimes ferment the maize flour in water and cook. Sometimes we add peanut butter or squeezed lemon juice, always tasty with a little bit of sugar. Amaqabelengwane. I don't know the English word for that. Millie meal steamed cakes. We have umporoto, crumbs made from the maize flour and water on the hob. On the hob, we add sugar, salt, and sometimes butter. We eat it with tea. We have isinkwa somfashwa, grated fresh maize with salt, sugar, and the mixture is placed in the maize husks and steamed on the hob. Lunch and dinner. It is common that at both those times, isichwala is eaten. This is the most important of all dishes. I mentioned and that I will list that from the maize. Here, the maize flour is whisked in boiling water first, simmered for a few minutes, then more flour added to make a thick paste called isichwala. Isichwala is not eaten on its own. It goes with accompaniment or a relish. It could be different kinds of meat, different types of vegetables, or curdled sour milk. My favorite dish of isichwala is beef and chomolia, which is African kale, and amacimbi, which are Mopanewans. Isichwala is the meal that identifies us as Zimbabweans. Everyone eats it unless advised otherwise by a doctor. It is so nice and delicious that some don't mind having it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm surprised that I've managed to learn to live with the fact that I cannot eat isichwala every day because of so many reasons. And that here, maize flour is expensive and scarce, so I end up eating what is mostly available. We have other foods that we get from the precious maize, which is dried maize kernels. We call it igwadla. We have umruchu or amachagada, which is dried maize kernels that are crushed a little, then boiled for a long time. I would say this is our kind of rice, as it is eaten at functions with stew. We have umkana, which is cooked yellow melon, whisked in dry maize kernels with a little bit of sugar. We have inkobe, which is dried maize kernels with peanuts, ground nuts, and our own Zimbabwean kind of beans called indumba. Amaheu, leftover isichwala, is mixed with water and fermented for a day or two, depending on the weather. Then it becomes a refreshing drink taken with a little bit of sugar. We have amaputi, which is our popcorn snack made out of maize kernels. We have our own beer made from maize flour, yeast, and other ingredients. In conclusion, this is what our maize means to me as Ndebele. When I was home, there was not a day that went by without me eating one of those dishes that I've mentioned. Now, the answer to the question I said is always asked, is always thrown to me. What I miss most about home is food, because it is delicious, nutritious, and filling. Ngiyabonga. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was literally transporting, isn't it? I hope everybody else felt transported, even those who've never ever been to Zimbabwe, because yeah, food is. I mean, how many different ways could maize be used? And I think if we look into cultures other than main popular cultures, we will see how food is sustainable, how food is reinvented, and how we stick so closely to our staple diets, and we don't whinge about it. We just eat it. I don't know about you, but for me growing up, if we wasted any rice, it was a cardinal sin. Like, you had to eat the rice that was on your plate growing up. And then the leftover rice was, used to ferment and make something out of it, or like rice is never wasted. And goddess forbid thrown in the bin because it's a day old. Jesus, that's what happened. It's the same with maize in Zimbabwean culture, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. It is.
Yeah, and do you do what I would do is bring back weird spices that I won't get here, or if I would get them here and in Cork, they cost a bomb. So initially my mother would find great joy in sourcing the red chilies, drying them and grinding them into a powder, and then packaging them, and then putting another seal of packaging so that the customs guy won't take it away from me. And the same for rice. The rice would be cleaned and cleaned again, make sure there are no worms in it, and then vacuum seal them, and then place them very neatly in my bag, and I would bring them over if I was living in Australia or living here. I don't do that anymore because life is too short for that. But how about you? If you were to go home, would you bring back as much meat as you can?
Absolutely. Like I always say that when I go home, I'll carry bags with things that I don't need that I'll leave home. And then I'll carry the food with the empty bags. Those bags, they'll come back with food when I come back here.
Yeah.
Because, I so miss my food, like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. And so where do you find yourself eating here? And how has your Zimbabwean identity affected now? Because as you said, food is a huge common thing because there's diverse cultures within the country. So for you, how has your identity evolved in terms of food?
Basically, as for me personally, I make sure that I get my food. We get it online. Thank God for that.
Okay.
I get it online. Like I'll share this with you.
Are they on piney worm?
Yes. Small piney worms.
Yes.
Caterpillars.
Yes.
That's what they call them.
Yeah.
Yes, they're very nutritious. They're so full of protein, and I make sure I bought this online.
Wow.
They get posted to me. Yes. I make sure that I get my food because I wouldn't survive.
Right.
I wouldn't survive.
Fair play to you. It's such a great way to honor your culture, your identity, and in doing everything that you can with it, with the resources that you have, by ensuring that you have that kind of food around you. That's lovely. It really is.
And I make sure that whenever I'm with people that are not from my country, visitors, I actually cook my own food, so that they get to know who I am, because I think my food is me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I just realized that I must confess that I used to laugh at people who were so hung up on the food that they grew up eating when they're in different parts of the world, pursuing, studying, or they've moved here for work or something. And I always was like, get over it. You're not gonna get it here, okay? Just shush and eat what is here. Stop complaining. But now I think as I grow older, I get it. I totally get it. And I apologize to all the people I have ever given up to in this public platform. And I will also do my best to try and reconnect with the food that makes my identity. So thank you for nudging me. Thank you so much. Now, last but not least, we're going all the way to Bombay, where I come from, where I grew up. And I've got my friend Sananda Mukhopadhyaya here, who is going to share something. I only read it last night because I was like, I want to wait and be surprised. And when I read it, I was like, oh my God. So Sananda is a theater maker, and she's also an educator. You are a curator of different festivals as well. I remember ages ago, you had this beautiful museum. What was it called, Sananda? Museum of
Ordinary Objects.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do it here in some shape or form. And I have reason to believe that there have been other, artists by true nature who have done something similar, but that Museum of Ordinary Objects is an ode to ordinary objects, which we ignore. And so thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here and being you and bringing a piece of Bombay to me on this rather grey day here in Cork. That's why the light is on my face because there's no light in this room at all, no sunlight anyway. So Sananda, without any delay, we're going to go into the at no extra charge. And I have the pictures you wanted me to print, so I think I'll just show them to you when I think appropriate. Show them to the audience when it's appropriate.
Sure.
You said,
Sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go for it.
So it's written in English, but there are two words that I'll just like to explain before. There's maska, which is butter, and there is cutting chai. I know chai most people are familiar with. Cutting is actually a measure of tea that you often get on the streets, which is, let's say, half of your average size of, it actually could be just a little vial of tea, but it's great fuel to keep people running. So those are the two words, and then I'll go right into the poem. Well, I don't know if it's a poem, it's a piece. I shall read. The Banmaska man at Andheri station is only seen in the breakfast hours. He offers a delightful selection of fillings at a premium charge of 25 to 30 rupees. Nutella, peanut butter, or cheese slices, and of course the classics, butter or butter jam at a modest price of 13 rupees. Strategically located next to the cutting chai man, this stall, this setup really, since it's only a tabletop balanced on an hourglass-shaped cane stand, very typical of street food vendors in the city. It's light and easy to travel with. And in Mumbai, most street food is consumed standing and in a hurry. Actually, most of life in Mumbai happens standing and in a hurry. I observe that women tend to take their food to go, while men stand and eat in silence, preoccupied perhaps with the imaginations of the impending trains to catch or other general worries of the daily that the city has to offer at no extra charge. In a few minutes that I spend at this stall, I watch in rapture as he makes his way in and out of steel jars, never once mixing orders, with at least 30 people demanding buns with butter, buns with only Nutella, or buns with a slice of cheese and jam. His hands dexterously moving between the butter knife, the bread, the cheese slices, while also passing hot cups of tea to his customers from the little stall behind him. All this while he's still doing mental math, opening his little tin box for change to offer to the big and small currencies being held up to him by the hungry masses, and never once mixing orders, never once making a mistake. He moves fast, but unlike the city, he is not in a hurry. As I stand there, time somehow stretches as my eyes follow his every movement, my ears hanging on his voice as his voice drops a little to speak to me, asking me if I want sugar in the bun along with butter. Then raised again, calling for another cup of chai for the man next to me. There's a stack of plastic packets. These were what the buns originally came in, from a small local bakery located most likely somewhere along the train lines that run like veins along this slither of an island, home to so many of us, standing and in a hurry. He carefully packs my bun maska order in one such packet, then wraps it swiftly in newspaper that has been pre-cut in small squares. He's fast moving, like I said, but not in a hurry. As I make my way to the trains, playing the Mumbai local train station Tetris, navigating my way through crowds and sounds and elbows, I try not to squish my bun maska. This is fuel for hours to come. I imagine holding a bird, not too tight, not too light, and possibly best, if not in a hurry. Thank you.
Oh my God, I want to have that bun. That's the stall. That's the stall that he sent a picture of. Yeah, and his dexterous hands working away with that huge knife. Look at that. Jeez. And Andheri station is very dear to me because that's the station closest to my house back in Bombay. So so the fact that this is from Andheri station, and I might have seen this bun maska guy or not, or somebody like him, I don't know, because there might be, you know, on, because the station has the east side and a west side, and this was possibly on the west side that you saw Sananda. And then on the east side, there could have been another guy, you know, and what I like most about is you trying to smash the stereotype that Bombay is such a huge, Bombay is a huge city. That's not the stereotype. Stereotype is that it's such a fast-paced city and there's no moment to breathe. But here you've actually explained very, very eloquently about how the whole city is busy, but this man is going at his pace, not, you know, and enabling you too to pause and to admire, like, how is he doing this? You know, it's totally, that's very special. And I see in the picture that the newspaper that he has is actually not a Hindi Marathi newspaper. It is either a Kannada or a Telugu newspaper, which is crazy, you guys, because Bombay is such a predominantly Hindi speaking and Marathi speaking. So for him to have a newspaper, he uses the newspaper to wrap the buns. So the newspaper here is not that language, it's a whole different language, implying maybe the man himself would be reading the, you know, either Kannada or Telugu newspaper.
And it's probably like so many of us not from the city.
Yeah, blow-ins as we call them here, blow-ins. Blow-ins. Not Cork-owned. Blow-ins. They're a blow-in. I'm a blow-in.
But there's something kinder about blow-in, like you're accepting of it, like a leaf that comes into your yard and you're like, okay, that's a blow-in. Much better than a migrant, I suppose, or a...
Yeah, that's also there. But it goes back to what Asma said about feeling really her fullest here. So that's a lot to say. And yeah, I think we have some time. So it'd be nice if we could go through the four of you to have a think about what is cultural safety. What does that mean to you? And or is there cultural safety in the place where you live, and what that would look like if there isn't that? Just take a few moments. Let me go on a little break and then come back because we still have a few moments before we say bye to each other. Hey. Yeah, we'll just wait for the others. Oh, they're here. Yeah, you're all here. Great. Good leg stretch. Okay, who wants to go first? Just take we'll just, you just 3 minutes each to talk about cultural safety as a message to the rest of the world listening. Who wants to go first?
Well, I could go first. And also because we're talking about food, and this is very typical to Bombay. In Bombay, you have buildings like societies, where like housing societies that won't allow non-vegetarian food to be cooked. So like if you eat non-vegetarian food, then you can't rent a place there, which is extremely hostile. And but it's common knowledge, and it's been like this for decades. It's something that people talk about, but I would think just that idea, right? Like I want to come home at the end of a day and I want to be able to cook something that makes me comfortable and makes me feel at home, or gives me nutrition, but I can't do so because maybe I'm worried that the smell might bother a neighbor, or I'm not supposed to be cooking it here. So I suppose cultural safety should be this ability to feel safe with what you bring. And what we bring is the things we eat, and the way we laugh, and the way we say something, wear something. And I shouldn't have to second guess myself. And in the current situation in India, it's not a very culturally safe place because we're really not we're not celebrating the diversity that we come with. We're not, there's a lot of sort of conservative move in general, and that's really harming the kind of rich diversity that we come from. So it's really unfortunate that we're not in a culturally safe space at all right now. May that be about the languages we speak, the clothes we wear, the belief and the faith we have, to just the way I want to live my life. Yeah, that's from me.
Yeah, thank you. Asmae, go for it.
Yeah, about cultural safety, just like Sananda said earlier about the blow-ins, I really love that expression. And I would compare, because I'm going to talk about Ireland in general, I would compare Limerick, like my experience there, and then my experience in Cork, knowing that Cork has more blow-ins. So when I was in Limerick, I didn't feel that there was enough cultural safety for who I am as a Moroccan person, because the furthest I could go with somebody there would be, oh, well, you can't get food. There is an Asian store down the street. And I'm like, I'm not Asian. And whatever you think I'm going to find in the Asian store is not going to make my mother's couscous, for an example, whatever. And I think when I came here to Cork, there is more of a cultural diversity. And I think that's what leads to cultural safety. I think the lack of diversity and the lack of blow-ins automatically mean that a person's cultural safety is not going to be met. So cheers to having more blow-ins. Cheers to having more colorful spaces.
Yeah, who wants to go next?
I can go now that it's unmuted, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking like cultural safety, like when you said that, it's like, what does that actually mean? Because I've never heard anybody ask like, what's cultural safety, you know? But then you guys were starting to answer. It's like, okay, it's about what it's actually about, but not to copy it, but it is like kind of what is cultural safety. It would be that the diversity, and also that you're accepted as you are, no matter what, even if a majority is following one trend, you know, you can do a complete different thing, no matter where you are, and that's fine. So it's kind of accepting the ones who stand out also, if you're abroad and all that, is if you're in a society where it's celebrated, if you're different, or if you do this or that. And also within a culture, I think, like if you're in a culture and you're a part of the majority, it will be cultural safety that you can also, I don't know, act like you want and so on. That would say it's like acceptance and openness and not judging. Like basically a perfect society would be culture.
Yes, and it takes baby steps. It takes baby steps and more open conversations and honest, deep conversations to to figure that out, because no one has that figured really. And even in places where they had it figured out, those places are disintegrating. And so it's important to continuously revisit what does culture look like and how it evolves, and to be okay with the way it's evolving, and to have systems in place as well that educates everybody in the society. And which is why I love Many Tongues of Cork, because the conversations that take place from a line of poetry or from a different language that you've never heard before, the conversation just lifts off and goes elsewhere, and it's important. How about you, dear? Do you have anything to say?
Okay. For me, it has been. It's actually a difficult ride. If you understood what I said in my piece, that there are a lot of things that were planted in my mind, or I'd say in our mind back home, colonization, so much so that it's only a few that are realizing that we are our own people. You have to be your own person, even when you're not at home. Here, I find it difficult to meet somebody who speaks the same language as me, that I meet them and then they start talking to me in English. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something that is going on. I meet somebody who speaks Shona, I speak Shona, but they want to speak to me in English all the time. I don't blame them. It's something that has been planted in our mind, so much so that we still have to brainwash them of all those things. So I'm not at home, but when I'm here, I expect to meet people from home that will revive ourselves, like our being African, our being Ndebele or Zimbabwean, but then people, they still have those things instilled in their minds that you are not good enough, your things are not good enough. So it's kind of a hustle, so much so that my son here at home, I'm trying to teach him who he is, our language, everything about himself, about me, about where he comes from. But it's difficult because even when he's at school, 95% of the time, and 5% with me. So he's actually adopting some things that are not ours. So there is no cultural safety, I would say. So I try, to teach, to make people aware that this is who you are. Be proud of who you are. What you were told is not okay. What I was told is not okay. But there's some that, there's somebody who likes to say, hey, you're in Europe, adapt. I'm feeling that if I do adapt, I will lose myself. So I'll forget who I am. And that's not something that I may be out of home, but I don't want to forget myself. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say there's cultural safety in my area, in my life, because of all those things that I've mentioned. So
yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And it's hard to navigate a city where on one side people would be very comfortable to say I feel safe here and it's great, and then but we always have to keep in mind that there will always be, for at least every 20 people who feel great, there are 3, 4, 5 people who don't feel great, and that's why it's everyone's responsibility to make sure that everyone's feeling okay. That's what it is about. I think that's what it means to be a culturally safe society. And then the responsibility is not on a singular establishment. This responsibility is on all of us. And that's all I'm going to say in conclusion. And I'm going to say thank you to Winter Warmer, to Ovale, to Ray, to Sananda, to Asma, to Susanne, to Celine, to Nqobizitha as well, which I'm still learning to say. And thank you to Cork, and thank you to Bombay, and thank you to the internet for making sure this is all happening seamlessly. And I wish you all a wonderful festive season. May you be safe, stay hydrated and keep having these conversations about culture and languages. And yeah, anybody else want to say something before we say bye?
Thank you so much, everyone. That was so generous of you all to share. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Ray. Ciao. Thank you, Paul.